Over the May Day holiday, my wife, Victoria Sterling, to impress her young assistant, made an outrageous bid at an auction, splurging $9.9 billion on a jade pendant. The male assistant, Leo Vance, flaunted it on his social media, received the most precious gift of my life, your heartfelt sincerity. I'll never leave you, my dear Ms. CEO. I froze Victoria's supplementary credit card and forwarded her the social media post my executive assistant had sent me. And Ms. Sterling seems to be enjoying her holiday. So much so you've almost forgotten our ground rules, haven't you? Her message came through immediately. Hubby, I'll explain everything when I get back. Please unfreeze the card first. I don't have that kind of money on me. And shall give you a way out. Go dance on a pole. Given your status as Mrs. Blackwood, the tips you get should be enough to cover that bill. A minute later, I still hadn't heard from her, so I sent her a notification. It was news that the market value of her company, the Sterling Group, propped up by my family's support, had just instantly evaporated by $100 billion. Since she insisted on spending money on her assistant, I'd make her pay it back tenfold first. While Wall Street was reeling from the shock of a company losing $100 billion in value in an instant, Victoria Video called me. Darling, stop messing around. If I go up there and dance, won't it be humiliating for you? Seeing her eyes red with anger, I just gave a cold smirk. Victoria Sterling, I'll ask you one question. Are you going to dance or not? Choices have consequences. You have 30 seconds, or else... Before I could finish, she hung up. In less than half a minute, videos started flooding in from my friends. In the videos, Victoria, dressed scantily, displayed her graceful figure around a pole, her face a mask of shame and grievance. Sincere, you're the man, that's how you handle a disobedient woman. Sincere still knows how to handle his wife. Any secrets to share with the bros, Mr. Blackwood? Seeing their compliments, I told them to delete the videos, then sent a message to Victoria. Victoria Sterling, remember your place. Don't forget the ground rules we set on our wedding day. This time she didn't reply. I knew she must be furious, but I didn't care. After all, ours was merely a business alliance, devoid of any real emotional foundation. Due to the vast disparity in our family's statuses, her parents only cared about money, and I was happy to use them to fend off my own parents' pressure to marry. So, before the wedding, I laid down 3 conditions for Victoria Sterling. I will respect your dignity as Mrs. Blackwood, and I will have children with you to inherit the family business, but you have no right to interfere in my commercial affairs. As for you, just be a good Mrs. Blackwood. Do what's expected of you. Do you understand what I mean? If you can do this, we marry. If not, you can say so now. But once you walk out this door, you must abide by our agreement. Seeing her lips move as if to speak, I let out a cold laugh. Miss Sterling, there's a huge gap between our statuses, and you bring me no benefits. If you don't agree, I'll just give you some money and find someone else for this alliance. It's that simple. Victoria Sterling nodded reluctantly. She had no grounds to refuse. Later, she did play the part of Mrs. Blackwood well, and we even had a son and a daughter. So, on account of her good behavior, I supported her father, Arthur Sterling, helping his company's market value soar to $100 billion. But I never imagined that after so many years of peace, she would overstep her mark today. It's fair to say this business with the assistant had crossed my line. That brazen flaunting was an eyesore. I don't allow anyone to covet what's mine, not even a glance. Towards evening, Victoria messaged me again. Attending a banquet tonight, will be back late. I snorted without replying, continuing with my work. Later that night, my executive assistant forwarded another social media post from that toy boy Leo Vance. And you are the gentle upstream breeze I've always dreamed of. The accompanying picture was a selfie of him at some banquet. He smiled demurely, but his eyes glinted with pride and satisfaction. The play of light on his face clearly indicated a woman was taking his picture. At the same time, my friend Lawrence Larry Bridges also sent me a photo. Victoria Sterling, dressed to the nines, was holding up her phone, aimed at the toy boy, a doting smile on her face. Even the corners of her mouth were curved in a smug arc. Her intentions couldn't have been more obvious. "What's going on?" "Sincere, your wife taming skills seem to be failing." In both pictures, that 9.9 billion jade pendant was exceptionally conspicuous, like a declaration of war or perhaps a provocation. She knew very well my friends would be at such an event, and she knew I would definitely see it. Yet, she willingly took his picture, even tacitly allowing the toy boy to post provocatively on social media, all to get back at me. She was planning to use my dignity as a stepping stone for that pretty boy. I let out a cold laugh and directly opened my chat with Victoria. "It seems I've been too lenient with you. You've learned to push your luck, haven't you?" 3 minutes passed. Victoria hadn't replied. My eyes held a playful glint. I directly asked Lawrence Bridges. "She didn't check her phone?" His message came back instantly, and glanced at it and then turned it off. "Are you going to call her to account, Sincere?" I sent another message. "Not talking, are we? I want to see your message within 10 seconds, or you'll face the consequences." 10 seconds later, I sent a picture, the divorce papers I had already prepared. "Sincere Blackwood, are you insane? It's just a few photos. Is it worth getting so worked up about?" Simultaneously, Lawrence's message came again. "And Sincere, you're a badass. What on earth did you say?" Her hands are shaking so much she can barely type. I sent a smug emoji. "Then sit back and enjoy the show." After sending that, I called the butler and had him send my 2 children abroad immediately. Soon, Lawrence's message came again. "Damn Sincere, teach me your ways. Your wife is on her knees looking at her phone." At the same time, Victoria's message arrived. "Those are your children too." Her replies were lightning fast now. Even her punctuation reeked of panic. She was clearly extremely nervous. "Oh, me and say it," she called instantly, her voice furious. "Sincere Blackwood. What the hell are you trying to do? You've vented your anger today, but why drag the children into this? Aren't they your flesh and blood?" Before she could finish, I cut her off. "Oh, turn on your video." What do you want to do?" Cindy said. "Turn on your video." Victoria hesitated for a moment but complied. Seeing that many people present were friends, I spoke directly. "On everyone, long time no see. I hear my wife brought a newcomer to the banquet today." "Is that so?" Victoria's voice trembled as she hastily explained. "Hubby, you've misunderstood. He's just my assistant," I scoffed. "What kind of boss makes a sky-high bid, spending 9.9 billion on a jade pendant for an assistant?" "Don't be nervous. I said I'd give you a chance. I hear there have been shark sightings at that beach recently. I've lived this long and never seen a shark eat a person. Ms. Victoria Sterling, would you be so kind as to throw your assistant in there and let me broaden my horizons?" That night, the coastline was ablaze with lights, and the shouts of the search and rescue team were incessant. Lawrence Bridges kept sending excited voice messages. "Sincere, it still has to be you. You've got that king of the castle status nailed down. Your wife is ruthless. 2 grabbed that toy boy by the hair and tossed him into the sea. This toy boy isn't part of some kinky game between you two, is he? Being thrown into the sea like trash by a woman. If it were me, I'd be too ashamed to show my face. Your wife taming skills are incredible. Let me treat you to dinner as tuition. Teach me your ways, bro." Hearing his messages, I half-joked, "First lay down the rules. If she disobeys, use harsh measures. Do you dare to learn?" Couldn't learn it in a million years. Lawrence and his wife were true loves, from high school sweethearts to married couple, and he was quite henpecked. Of course, he couldn't learn my methods. "By the way, I saw your wife jump in to save that toy boy too. Aren't you going to guard against that? Wouldn't it be simpler to just find a more obedient woman to be Mrs. Blackwood?" Lawrence sent a sincere, "You're so cool" message, and then went silent. An hour later, Victoria returned, drenched and disheveled. She stumbled into the entryway without a shred of her usual composure. The moment she saw me, her red eyes widened, and her chest heaved. "The man's been thrown into the sea, the children have been sent away. Are you satisfied?" I was on a call discussing a partnership, not even sparing her a glance. Only after I hung up did she take a deep breath, forcibly suppressing her anger. "Sincere Blackwood, I've done everything you asked. What more are you dissatisfied with? Say it." I picked up my coffee, glanced at her soaked clothes, and snorted. As our eyes met, the fury in Victoria's gaze was instantly extinguished by my icy stare. She slumped to the floor, hugging her knees, and spoke hoarsely. "Even if I was wrong today, don't you bear any responsibility for humiliating me and then trying to drive me to a dead end? If the rescue hadn't been timely, I'd be facing jail time. What exactly are you trying to do?" I looked at Victoria with a cold gaze. "Are you sure it was me who humiliated you? Weren't you the one who violated our ground rules first?" Her face was full of dejection. Her lips moved several times before she spoke. "Leo Vance is just a recent college graduate. What could possibly happen between us? After all these years of marriage, don't you trust me?" "Victoria Sterling, I can believe your words, but your actions have greatly disappointed me. Do you think that Toy Boy could earn $9.9 billion in several lifetimes? You couldn't even come up with that kind of money yourself, yet you wanted to buy him something so expensive. Letting you spend my money on another man is one thing, but what makes him so special that you, Mrs. Blackwood, would jump in to save him? Have you ever given a thought to your own status?" Victoria frowned at me, speaking aggrievedly. "I just felt he wasn't focused on work these past few days, so I wanted to cheer him up. I was just joking. I didn't expect you to take it seriously. I don't understand why you're so angry. It's not like I cheated on you." I looked at Victoria with a cold smile. "Who does he think he is? Cheering him up cost $9.9 billion? Can you guarantee he wouldn't think you were implying something, leading him to have inappropriate ideas? If it weren't for your indulgence, he probably would never have even come into contact with me. But now he dares to challenge me on social media. I don't believe you didn't see it. Respect is mutual. Since you've already trampled on my dignity, why should I care about yours?" I placed the divorce papers on the table and looked at her solemnly. "Victoria Sterling, if you really like him, you're free to sign these and leave." Seeing the words divorce agreement, she burst into tears. I don't. Tell me, do you still remember our ground rules?" She nodded, sobbing as she repeated the words from back then. My knuckles tapped on the divorce papers. "In a business marriage, I don't want to talk about feelings, only responsibility. You failed to fulfill your responsibilities as Mrs. Blackwood, so naturally I will punish you, even divorce you." Victoria wiped her tears and suddenly threw herself into my arms. I know I was wrong." I calmly flicked the ash from my cigar. She took my hand, her fingers intertwining with mine, and with her other hand she took the cigar and extinguished it. "Hubby, please don't harm your health because of my mistake, okay?" Victoria said, nuzzling against me. "Hubby, it's been so long since we—" As Victoria spoke, she started to unbutton my shirt, but I stopped her with a firm hand. "I've sent the children to their grandparents. I don't want them to come from a single-parent family. I will respect you, but I will not indulge you. Understood?" I pushed her aside. Seeing the panic that quickly replaced her initial surprise, I spoke sternly. "Furthermore, I hope you're acting out of wifely duty, not using your body as a bargaining chip." With that, I stood up and walked towards the study. Just as I opened the door, I turned back, my tone serious for one last time. "Regarding matters like this, I am formally notifying you. This is the first and last time between us. I will not give you another chance." Her eyes were red as she nodded emphatically. "Hubby, I promise, absolutely, absolutely no next time." The next day, Victoria Sterling's first order of business was to publicly fire Leo Vance. This instantly made him the target of scorn throughout the entire company, openly ridiculed by his opportunistic colleagues. Well, isn't this our swimming champion? How did you get fired? Weren't you just showing off the jade pendant Miss Sterling bought for you a few days ago? Didn't you think it might be taken back then?" And he could only slink away, like a kicked dog. From that day on, my life with Victoria seemed to return to normal. She appeared to have reverted to being that good wife and loving mother. Seeing her improved behavior, I brought the children back. Hubby, I didn't think things through before. Now I just want to be involved in our children's growth. Perhaps influenced by the children's laughter, I even found myself forgiving some of her past mistakes. But I always kept the matter of Leo Vance in mind. I've always been vindictive, so I had my executive assistant look after him from time to time. If you covet what's mine, you must bear the consequences. But I never expected Victoria to dare to deceive me by pushing my limits. One day, Lawrence Bridges suddenly sent me a message. "Sincere, has your castle been stormed? I went to discuss a partnership with your father-in-law's Sterling Group today, only to find out their CEO is that toy boy." The picture showed Leo Vance in a sharp suit, looking high-spirited and cocky, with no trace of the wretchedness from being thrown into the sea. The jade pendant that had been confiscated was back on him, exceptionally glaring. "Victoria Sterling, I underestimated you," I sneered repeatedly and drove home immediately. As I reached the front door, I heard Victoria bad-mouthing me to the children. "From now on, no one in this house is to mention him. He was about to send you to Africa to mine coal. If I hadn't stopped him, you don't need to thank me too much. Who else would do this but your mother? Just give me some shares and—" I clenched my fists, my face ashen, and walked in. Victoria's words caught in her throat, her panic visibly evident. "Victoria Sterling, I entrusted the children to you, and this is how you raise them?" Seeing me return, the two children ran over and hugged my legs. "Daddy, Mommy is trying to teach us bad things." I gestured for the children to go to their room first, then looked at Victoria. "For the children's sake, I'll give you a chance to explain. Speak." Victoria looked irritated and impatient. "Say what? I was just joking about you at home. Isn't an apology enough?" I slammed my hand on the table, my patience with her completely gone. "Not talking, are you? Then I'll say it for you, Victoria Sterling. You're getting bolder, daring to play tricks right under my nose? My time is limited. Sign it." Seeing the divorce papers I threw down, Victoria's eyes instantly reddened. "What's gotten into you today? Is divorce such a trivial matter? I've returned to the family. I haven't even gone out during this time. On what grounds are you divorcing me? Why don't you just say I'm still entangled with Leo Vance? Can you stop coming home and venting your anger? What if you scare the children? Am I just your punching bag? Think about it yourself with that." She slammed the door and left. The children were startled by our tense argument. To comfort them, I took them to an auction house to pick out gifts. Who knew that as soon as I arrived, someone shouted, "Look, that's the CEO of Sterling Group." So, Ms. Sterling stepped down for her new man. Leo Vance was beaming, his cocky face showing no sign of his previous ordeal in the sea. Beside him was Victoria Sterling, who had stormed out of the house. She was wearing a haute couture gown, attending with Leo Vance on her arm. When her eyes met mine, she deliberately turned her head away and walked into a private box with Leo Vance, as if the children and I were strangers. When she heard someone call Leo Vance Mr. Sterling, she just smiled and nodded, offering no correction. The auction began, and a sudden gasp erupted from the crowd. "Look, Mr. Vance is making a grand gesture for his lady love." Another outrageous bid. "Mr. Vance is so generous, willing to spend so much on his wife. It's truly enviable, don't you know? Miss Sterling also splurged $9.9 billion on her husband a while ago. This seems to be some kind of romantic game between them." Victoria looked at him with a doting smile, a hint of smugness at the corner of her lips. Hearing the crowd's chatter, my children's faces showed a calmness beyond their years. "Since Mom wants to be with that bad man, Dad, just get us a new mom for a child to say such a thing." Victoria truly was one of a kind. I gently stroked my child's head. "Good boy. We'll sit at the dining table. They only deserve to be on the menu, not even qualifying as bad guys." Glancing at Victoria, who was basking in the limelight, I said coldly, "And as the future heirs of Blackwood Corporation, today Dad will use them to teach you both a lesson, how to remove an unwanted dish from the menu, and what the wrath of a top-tier wealthy family truly means." Under my children's curious gazes, I froze her supplementary card again. At the same time, I made a phone call. She was completely unaware of all this. When another collectible was put up, Leo Vance, as before, made the gesture for a sky-high bid. The whole venue was in an uproar again. Mr. Vance is incredible. The Sterling Group is so wealthy, I'm envious. But their moment in the spotlight didn't last long. Soon, staff members entered their private box. What? You don't know who I am? You need to verify my funds? Victoria lost her composure the moment she saw the staff. Ma'am, we are just following regulations. Please understand. She impatiently pulled out a black card, her eyes filled with annoyance, but soon she couldn't maintain that expression. Ma'am, your card has been frozen. You currently have no assets. According to our rules, you will be asked to leave unexpectedly. Victoria became even angrier upon hearing this. Get your manager here. Don't you know I'm Mr. Blackwood's wife? How dare you speak to me like this? Aren't you afraid of being fired tomorrow? But the attendant showed no fear. Ma'am, you are attending as the companion of the CEO of Sterling Group, and yet you claim to be our Mr. Blackwood's wife. Furthermore, according to the latest news, our Mr. Blackwood is suing you for divorce. So, in principle, we cannot provide you with any convenience. Hearing this, Victoria could no longer hold back and rushed into my private box. Leo Vance followed behind her. What do you mean by this? Victoria demanded. Right off the bat. I said nonchalantly, your last chance has been used up. Let's get a divorce. No. Hubby, it's not what you think, seeing my ashen face and the utter lack of any remaining affection in my eyes as I looked at her. Victoria's face instantly turned pale. I threw a divorce agreement at her and said coldly, sign it, there's nothing more to say between us. Leo Vance instantly knelt on the floor. Mr. Blackwood, there's really nothing going on between Miss Sterling and me like you imagine. You know, I was in college before, and my relationship with Emma Sterling has been strictly professional. There's absolutely nothing else. He was trembling with fear, his eyes filled with deep dread. Sincere Blackwood. What the hell are you trying to do? I didn't say anything when you had Leo fired. Why are you trying to stop him from finding a job now? Besides, what happened or didn't happen between us? Don't you really know? Why must you make things so difficult for him? I shook my head, looking at her, frantic over Leo Vance, and started clapping. Brilliant, truly brilliant. As far as the eye could see, everyone who met the darkness in my eyes applauded. Victoria's face flushed crimson, a flash of madness in her eyes. I believe you, but what does that prove? Haven't you noticed your behavior becoming more and more outrageous? Nothing happened this time. What about next time? Don't tell me there won't be a next time. I don't want to hear your guarantees anymore. I can give you a chance too. If you cripple his hands and feet right now, I guarantee I will take care of this person for you and treat his family well. Would you do it? Hearing me say this, Victoria's eyes filled with deep confusion and unfamiliarity. How long are you going to keep this up? I remember you weren't like this before. Saying that, she grabbed a decorative porcelain vase from nearby and threw it on the floor. My heart lurched, and I quickly shielded the children behind me. A shard of porcelain grazed my chest and blood instantly dripped down. Victoria panicked and wanted to check my wound. I, however, suddenly oblivious to my own injury, sneered and threw the divorce agreement in front of her. Victoria Sterling, have you forgotten how you got to where you are today? I'm giving you a choice, not letting you change the subject, but it doesn't matter. You've already made your choice. What more is there for me to say? Sign it now. The Blackwood family's century-old reputation cannot be destroyed by a woman who is disloyal in her affections and irresponsible towards her family. Hearing me say this, a hint of sorrow and indignation flashed across her face. What exactly do you mean? I stood up, looked at Victoria with disappointment, my eyes devoid of any emotion. Exactly what I said with that. I had my executive assistant settle the children and went straight to the hospital to get bandaged. In less than 10 minutes, Arthur and Eleanor Sterling arrived at the hospital. Son-in-law, is Victoria throwing a tantrum with you? If that's the case, tell me, Dad, and I'll take care of. Seeing the gauze on my chest still faintly seeping blood, The warm smiles on their faces froze. Eleanor Sterling sat beside me, her heart aching, her unspoken complaints almost palpable. "Mr. Sterling, Mrs. Sterling, there's no need for this. Your daughter, for a secretary who resembles her first love, not only brought him to various events and meetings, ruining my Blackwood family's reputation, but also hurt me for him. I think the affinity between our two families ends here." Seeing my calm expression, which indicated I wasn't lying, the elderly couple's hearts leaped into their throats. "Sincere, we're family. There's no need to be so distant. Besides, couples quarrel and make up. There's really no need for you two to go as far as divorce." My mother-in-law sat beside me, holding my hand and trying to persuade me. My father-in-law, Arthur Sterling, directly picked up the phone, angrily dialed Victoria. "Hello? I don't care what you're doing right now, or which toy boy you're with. Get your ass over to the hospital immediately if I don't see you. In 20 minutes, you don't ever have to come home again." My mother-in-law looked at me with red eyes, as if trying to prevent me from bolting out the next second. It was understandable. Their Sterling family's business had only achieved its current success with our family's support. Even if half its market value had evaporated yesterday, it was still 10 times what it was originally. Now that Victoria Sterling wasn't content being Mrs. Blackwood, how could they sleep at night? My attitude towards them remained consistently indifferent. I'd reply to them occasionally, and when I was busy I focused on my own work. The thought of that toy boy made me want to laugh. A recent college graduate, barely on his feet, and already thinking of seducing his way to the top? He probably didn't know how cruel society could be, nor what kind of behemoth he had provoked. A nobody with no foundation whatsoever. The resources I could let slip through my fingers would be enough to crush him. Moreover, as her legal husband, I had held an absolute advantage in the cooperation between our two families for so many years. How could I possibly lower myself and my resources to compete with him over who was younger or who looked more like a dead person? As for Victoria Sterling, I wouldn't let it go so easily either. Even with a divorce, I wouldn't let Victoria Sterling have an easy time. A businessman's first rule is to rationally utilize everything around him in exchange for resources. Previously, I was unwilling to use her as a bargaining chip out of family responsibility. But now, how was she treating me? Before, she could sit at the negotiating table by virtue of being Mrs. Blackwood. But after living this life for so long, she might have forgotten that she used to be just a side dish on the table. 15 minutes later, a worried-looking Victoria Sterling appeared in the hospital room. Only I hadn't expected that behind her, that toy boy, Leo Vance, was also tagging along. I was suddenly dumbstruck with amusement. She really was foolish. At a time like this, she still had to bring that toy boy along. Did he have no independent ability whatsoever? Could he not survive without Victoria Sterling? Seeing the bandaged wound on my chest, a flicker of emotion finally appeared in her eyes. "Dad, it's not what you think." We were in a meeting at the time, and he, without distinguishing right from wrong, was about to attack Leo. My father-in-law's expression immediately soured. "So, what are you trying to say? Who is he to you? For this toy boy, you disregard Sincere's dignity, and even lay a hand on him." She shot me a deep look, then clutched her forehead, unsure what to say. She wouldn't dare to recount the actual situation here. After all, my executive assistant had already investigated. Given Leo Vance's abilities, he couldn't possibly have joined the partner company. It was clear Victoria had arranged it. But these were things she couldn't explain now. In front of an outsider, my father-in-law's temper flared, and he pointed at Victoria's nose, unleashing a merciless tirade. "Speak up, why are you suddenly silent? Weren't you quite something when you laid a hand on Sincere?" Seeing the gauze on me, Victoria's face showed a hint of guilt. I didn't give her a chance to speak, cutting her off directly. Yes, you didn't lay a hand on me. This wound was from me accidentally bumping into the porcelain vase. You shattered. Even that vase, I was holding your hand when it was smashed. Hearing me say this, my father-in-law slapped Victoria across the face. "What the hell do you mean? You've been married for so long. Haven't you even learned how to be a good wife?" The force of his slap was considerable. A clear handprint instantly appeared on Victoria's otherwise fair face. Leo Vance stood aside, pale with fright, instinctively wanting to step forward and show concern. I saw my mother-in-law's face instantly turn. Ashen, I knew this overstepping act had provoked her. Sincere is hurt this badly, and you didn't even send him to the hospital immediately. What is he? Even if you have no shame, we still do. My father-in-law's hand pointed directly at Leo Vance. Hearing his in-law's rebukes, the smile froze on Leo Vance's face. He looked around, only then belatedly realizing that the current situation was not suitable for a display of ambiguity. He gave a dry laugh and was about to leave, but was kicked to the ground by my father-in-law. What do you think you are? This is our family business. Are you even qualified to listen in? Victoria Sterling, I demand to know what you mean. Even if you're divorcing Sincere, you're not divorced yet. What do you mean by bringing this toy boy here? Do you think your mother and I are too healthy and want to anger us to death sooner? It's all because of you that the family company's market value instantly evaporated by nearly 100 billion. Hearing Arthur Sterling say this, Leo Vance quickly explained. Uncle, you've misunderstood. I'm just Emma Sterling's assistant. There's really nothing between us as an assistant. You don't know what you should or shouldn't hear. Besides that face of yours, what else do you have that's memorable? You scum. Lower than dirt, get the hell out of here. As Arthur Sterling spoke, he slapped him across the face. Victoria had wanted to speak up for him, but was frozen in place by her father's earlier words. Dad, what did you mean by what you just said? What 100 billion loss? Eleanor Sterling looked at Victoria with a heartbroken expression, a hint of grievance in her eyes. Don't you know? A few days ago, after you argued with Sincere, the company's market value instantly evaporated. What kind of CEO are you? I see you've been messing around with this toy boy so much you don't even care about the company anymore. Back then, when you said you wanted to be the CEO, we all told you to focus on the family. Only Sincere stood up for you and made it happen. Is this how you repay him? Victoria didn't hear a word her mother said after that. She was still thinking about that 99 billion. Hubby, I was really wrong. She knelt by my hospital bed, her face finally filled with terror. I shouldn't have bid on that necklace for him at the auction. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could our company have lost so much money? Give the money back, quickly, or I'm not done with you. You just wait to go to jail. Victoria angrily slapped Leo Vance across the face. Hearing about returning the money, Leo Vance instantly panicked. He was just a recent college graduate. Where would he get that much money? The money for his plastic surgery had been obtained through loans, and the salary Victoria gave him had only just covered those loan repayments. All this was clearly written in the investigation report my executive assistant gave me. Even which hospital he had surgery in and how many days he recuperated were clearly detailed. Victoria, didn't you say you gave me these things willingly? Besides, didn't you earn this money by dancing? What does it have to do with Mr. Blackwood? He didn't give you a single cent. Lying in the hospital bed, I watched with great interest as they tore into each other like dogs. This scene was truly fascinating. Everyone is human. No one wants their own interests to suffer. Let's get out bodyguards. Throw him out. After dealing with Leo Vance, Victoria looked at me, her eyes instantly filled with panic. Hubby, it's not what you think. I was just temporarily bewitched by him. I didn't even cheat. Can you give me another chance, please? I'll get the auction money back. Can you please give me another chance? Arthur and Eleanor Sterling also looked at Victoria with disappointment, as if looking at iron that wouldn't become steel. Sincere, we're all family. Besides, you and Victoria are still young. We feel that young people's mistakes can be rectified or forgiven. What do you think? Yes, for the sake of Victoria having given you children, why don't we just let this matter go? As for the company's losses, we won't try to recover them. Losing this money is nothing. What's important is the relationship between you and Victoria. Casually threw the mirror from the table onto the floor and said indifferently, fine, Don't say I didn't give you a chance. Now, either you restore this mirror or compensate me 100-fold. If you can't do either of these, then this matter ends here. As for the children, I don't want to say much more. Since their birth, apart from the few days during her postpartum confinement when Victoria looked in on them, she hasn't cared for them since. You haven't asked either. It's always been my parents who hired nannies to look after them. What does it have to do with you? Legally speaking, the children are now over 3 years old. They don't necessarily need to be with their mother. Or, you can just say it, I want to buy out the custody and visitation rights for the children. Name your price. I completely blocked all their escape routes. Victoria looked at me with tear-filled eyes, finally realizing that I was determined to leave her. But now, she couldn't utter a single word because I had already given her many chances before. My original thought was to make Victoria pay back 100-fold, but later, considering our years together, I softened. No, it's not like that sincere. I really didn't cheat. I just had a lapse in judgment. I know you'll make me pay it back 10-fold. I'll go sell everything I own right now. As long as I pay back this 10-fold, we can go back to how things were, right? Victoria seemed to have thought of something, and a flame of hope reignited in her eyes. But in the next instant, I shattered her hope. It's not like that. For enemies, I've always believed in 10-fold retribution. If you want to reconcile, you must pay 100-fold price otherwise. If the cost of making mistakes is always so low, many people won't take it seriously. We are both business people. You should understand this principle even if I don't spell it out. Victoria Sterling, ask yourself honestly, haven't I given you many chances, but you've ignored them time and time again? What else can I say? You don't realize you're wrong now. You realize your company is about to die. You must be very clear now that under our protection, you have made many enemies. If you suddenly leave us, your company will be devoured instantly. I can give you a 1-month grace period, but how much are you prepared to pay? Don't talk about how much of a relationship we once had. I'd like to bring it up too, but you've already used up all those chances. Affection is built on the foundation of mutual benefit, isn't it? That's all I have to say. You should all leave now. I need some time alone to cool down. After I finished speaking, my executive assistant began ushering them out. They still didn't want to give up, but were instantly intimidated by a single look from me. If you don't want to lose everything, it's best not to come in. At that moment, Victoria Sterling squatted on the floor, crying her eyes out. She realized I was finally, truly leaving her. There was absolutely no relationship left between us. Thinking for a moment, I looked at the still unresigned Victoria and said, "Don't try to use the children to blackmail me. My children don't need a fickle mother, much less a mother who likes to fool around with her assistant. Don't worry, I'll tell them you're dead. It's to preserve their good image of you. Even if you haven't seen them much, they're willing to believe their mother was a kind and faithful person. I know you didn't cheat, but what does that prove? You tacitly approved of many things. His little tricks, his provocations. I am a businessman, not a gambler. I won't gamble such a long period of sunk cost on whether you'll have a change of heart. This is a very simple problem. Only the foot knows if the shoe fits, but if an apple is rotten, it should be thrown away immediately." In the days that followed, Victoria Sterling did not sign the divorce papers. However, I had already initiated divorce proceedings through litigation. Her parents still had business cooperation with our company. Even if it meant losing money, they had to continue working with me. And every time Victoria saw the children from afar, she would hear me say that their mother was already dead, and that her greatest wish before dying was to see them, but it was a pity. This is my stance. In the world of emotions, if you forgive someone once, there will be countless more times waiting for your forgiveness, and the other party will gradually test your bottom line, making you lower it again and again. As I said before, I won't give too many chances. She did indeed realize her mistake, but so what? My life truly doesn't lack a Victoria Sterling, and I don't need her belated apology.